You're listening to the Oracle Talk Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sabrina Carpenter.
I'm Dasha.
Hey, I'm Billie Eilish.
What's up, guys? I'm Camila Cabello.
Hey, this is Tate McRae.
I love this station.
I love this station.
You're listening to Chasing Prophecy Radio, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scope of normal. On the Oracle Talk Radio Network. Broadcasting live in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
If it's unexplainable, we're talking about it.
Whether you're a believer or a skeptic,
we cover everything where the unknown becomes the known.
And now, here are your hosts, Jenny Nicasio and Tom Callway.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Chasing Prophecy, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scoop of normal. I'm Jenny Nicasio, along with my co-host, Chasing. My God, I knew it was going to be a full moon soon, so just want to warn you. My co-host, Tom Callway, brought to you by Oracle Talk Radio Network in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Well, there's a lot to put up. You have to forgive me because it is almost a full moon, and I had 2 cups of coffee today, so I'm a little psyched out of the mind. But I am wearing my Beth Dutton. I'm channeling her tonight. If everybody knows that Yellowstone came back on, and unfortunately, John Dutton is dead. Okay. But before we get started, I just want to say we have a special guest who was a regular on the show, John Ventre. He has a new fascinating book, UFOs and Time Travel. They're among John Ventre's. I think he has like 6, 7, 8 books. I don't know. But he's going to talk about, but before we get into his bio, I just want to say, Tom, it's a crazy week.
Absolutely.
Okay.
A lot
Yeah, a lot. I love all the Trump's new cabinet, all that stuff. What really blew me away was yesterday with the Congressional meeting on UAP's AKC UFOs. I'm just not sure about that. And also in the news today, unfortunate things have happened to Alex Jones. They shut down his radio station. Onion bought it out and took all his material, and he started his "Hello, Joe. Hello. Hi, everybody coming in." But I'm really disappointed in that because I am an Alex Jones follower for years now. My son turned me on to him, and I think he's got a bad rap. And now he has his own. I think it's called the Alex Jones Network. But that's part of the news. And so what are your thoughts on all this, Tom?
On all of it? Well, I saw the Alex Jones stuff today. It came out, I guess, mid-afternoon or so. He did get a bad rap. The Onion bought, which is insult to injury if anybody knows what the Onion is. It's a, satire type of press piece. So, it is a shame what happened with him there, and hopefully, with him, hey, Joe, what's going on? Good to see you again. Hopefully with him, he lands on his feet and gets back into it. It always takes me back to when I watched the Joe Rogan talk about this. And, when he said, hey, he broke it down on a show with David Grush about Alex Jones and said, hey, this guy said this stuff years ago, and they were like, this guy's an idiot, fat slob, shaming him, doing all this kind of stuff, degrading all kinds of his stuff. And then it gets a congressional hearing where everything is put out, and turns out he was right. Now,
I know he's been right about everything, Tom.
So he's been right about, what's going on and everything, but it's the fact that they weren't ready to have it come out, so they had to attack him with career, probably even life. Obviously he's still alive, but still I'm sure they've made threats against him that way. And this poor man who has been right all along, and a champion, if you will, for public information, he gets shafted and all of his whole empire. I hope he lands on his feet. Alex,
Yeah.
you're always welcome here. You can come on to our show if you ever wanted.
Well, you know what the cool thing is? I don't know why. I sound like a robot right now. Maybe that's the
Oh,
AI coming out of me. What the cool thing is that I just learned that Michael Anthony knows him
he does.
personally. Yeah, and I'm really excited about that because I told him you should try to get him on the show. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we could have a special panel, or if he just wants to do it, if he doesn't want to be like bombarded by different hosts, by all means, he's more than welcome. And we'll take the brunt of that if anybody has any kind of issues with it.
No, I would love to know him. I got his conspiracy bourbon for my son for Christmas last year. I got his book signed. Yes, Michael Anthony does rock. He's pretty
He
awesome.
does rock.
And so do you, Joe.
Yeah, Joe. Michael Anthony and Joe rocks.
That could be a song.
That could be a song. That absolutely could be a song, and I would love to hear that. Jenny, why don't you write that?
We should. I always wanted to be a singer. This is a story real quick before we get more into this. I took voice lessons after high school. I was in my 20s, and
so just a couple of years ago.
No. Yeah. Okay. So I went out drinking with my friends, and then I get a phone call from my voice instructor, and he says, "Jenny, they're doing auditions for a talent show," and and I said, "Oh, what you like it, Joe?" So stupidly, I went ahead and did it, and I totally bombed. And the band singing with, taking voice lessons with, they took off to Florida without me.
You think it was the alcohol you were drinking the night before?
I think it was just my luck, but I was like, why? I wanted to do this. Yeah, but that's my story. But I did want to sing like country roads take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. Okay, too much coffee.
Jenny karaoke coming to a weekend here on the Oracle Talk Radio Network.
Too much coffee, guys. I'm sorry.
But and then to finish up that last part that you were talking about, right? I was extremely thrilled with the bravery of the men that came up onto that panel.
Oh my God, yeah. But you know what, Tom?
They were hinting, but listen, they were hinting at the shadow government in front of the real government.
Yes, that was nice though. I like that.
Yeah, I did like that. Yeah.
I totally like that. But we're just back. The same thing happened. Oh, well, we'll give you how many weeks for if you have any questions and you want to present it to it. So that are we going to hear anything? I don't know. But it looks like Johnny Baby is in the background. So
in the green room, if you will.
Yeah, so he's in the green room. Okay, let's go ahead and let's introduce him. Now, I've known John for a long time. I met him at MUFON. Yes, so I met him. We see that. I met him in MUFON conference, and I wanted to be a MUFON field investigator. He brought me under his wing. He was on the show multiple times in the past with me and Jason and Sean, and then just me, Sean, and John. And he's an incredible person. He's very intelligent. He knows his shit. He's wrote a number of books. He was a candidate for, I'm not going to mess this up, John, because I messed it up before. Let me just go back and look at my notes. Okay, he was a candidate for governor. And I see now. What was that other one? I have it down.
County Commissioner.
Westmoreland County Commissioner. And he's authored many books. What else can I say about you, John? You're state director for Pennsylvania. You're a great guy. So, John, welcome to Chasing Prophecy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I think it's been over a year.
Yeah, you took off and you were going, and all of a sudden you decided, you know what, I want to go out and do something else.
I was running for a couple of different campaigns, and I tell you the one thing about this whole disclosure thing, I just got on, and I think that's what you were talking about was the congressional stuff, is that they can't make fun of us anymore. When I ran for county commissioner in 2019, I sent my press release into the Trib, and they changed it. And they put in it in the opening thing, former head of a UFO organization thinks he can be commissioner.
Oh, my gosh.
So when I ran for governor 3 years ago, it came up one time in an interview in Punxsutawney, and I don't think it made the paper. It just was mentioned. And then commissioner last year, I told the Trib reporter, hey, you got a problem with UFOs, call the Pentagon. I don't want to hear your crap. And his answer to me was, yeah, funny how quickly that changed. I said, you got it. And they never mentioned it. So we're in the clear now.
There you go.
Okay. But before we get into all that, John, I want you to tell me a little bit about your book. Okay. Now, you've written about the confusion surrounding the Pentagon's UFO disclosures. Why do you believe there's such a lack of clarity? And is it intentional?
Well, this whole thing is a lot of BS. If you really look at this, and it's in a couple of my books, I think even the latest one I wrote, They Are Us, but I know I mentioned it years ago in one of my other books. They come out in 2017, right, with Academy to the Stars and Tom DeLonge. And I'm saying, well, let's see, how do you get younger people involved in this? Well, you bring a rock star in, and all of a sudden young people are interested. And what I didn't know was that, this funding from Bigelow back in 2009, when you were probably with MUFON with me back then, we didn't know that was coming from the Pentagon. We thought it was coming from Bigelow. And I thought that was a good thing, that they were finally paying for us to go out and stay in hotels and rent cars and that type of stuff. But, you go from that whole thing, and then they sold shares. And they went bankrupt. They took in $2.3 million and they spent $32 million. So they went bankrupt. I mean, this thing stinks of NICAP and all the stuff that happened 60 years ago because the government infiltrated it, NICAP, and they bankrupted the group. And, but there's no proof to anything they say. You got this Lou Elizondo guy who I don't believe for 1 second. He is an absolute double agent trying to tell us something. It's a false flag. No matter what they come up with, no matter what they come up with down the road, it's a false flag. It's not going to be the truth. It's what they want us to believe. Everybody think, well, Elizondo, you got so much courage. Elizondo, bullshit. Elizondo's full of it.
Really? Well, Tom, what do you have to say?
There is that consensus, I guess, in the community there that he is more of a controversial figure because of his ties and things like that. So, John, it's certainly not the first I've heard of. And my pleasure meeting you, by the way. Great to have you on the show. But, there are people skeptical of him. For that same reason, John, the double agent part. But were you surprised to see him up on the council? Do you think he did more harm than good up there?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see Elizondo up there talking. And, of course, when they ask him a question, well, you're putting me in a compromising situation. I can't say, you saw him up there doing that, I got my clearances and this and that. I texted my congressman. He's all into this. He's not one of the people there. And I said, I would love to interview those guys, Fravor, Elizondo, all the others. I would shred them and box them in like when I was security director at UPS and trained how to interview and interrogate people. Let me pull my notes out here for a second because this is stuff from my book. We already talked about, Tom DeLonge, them selling shares and how this whole thing is looking like a scam, right? So we got Elizondo. There's a guy out there, Jan Brewer. He does a FOIA on Elizondo, and Elizondo was never part of. There's no documents. It came back that he was never part of any ATIP program at the Pentagon. There's nothing like that, right? So Elizondo says September of 22. interview. I think it was with the New York Times or something. He says, I want to kill the UFO field, get rid of UFO groups and the social media approach. He wants an all scientific closed door approach. And that's what he's trying to do. So MUFON better be very afraid because, NICAP went out, APRO went out. He thinks the government controlling it without oversight from the public or any input is the way to go. And I told my congressman, you got to get me on this AARO program when they allow, civilians to get on it. And I would love to interview these guys, right? So Elizondo then goes on to say, maybe we're going to realize that what we thought were monsters are really just our neighbors. So that's what he said in the interview. So what does he mean by our neighbors? Does he mean Iran or Atlantis? Like, what neighbors are you talking about? Every time you try to box these guys in, they get away from the extraterrestrial, the alien type of thing. This thing stinks of our technology. That's what it is, and that's why I wrote the book.
Really, you do? Do you believe it's our own technology? I don't know. They said that. If you listen to it all, John, there was one part, he said that the speed that it went, no human being could withstand it. So you still think it's...
There's no humans in it. There's no humans in it.
Okay, so you think it's like the AI thing?
Drones.
Drones.
You really think it's artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
So
now, wait. Let me add a little more. The Navy then states... This is about a year ago. They want to prosecute UFO groups or individuals spreading false rumors regarding UFOs. Really? Wow. You want to prosecute us? I couldn't write that book I just wrote about It's Our Technology. They prosecute me. But here's the kicker, right? I spoke to David Fravor, 6-7 years ago. I asked him to come speak at one of our two conferences, Pittsburgh or Philly, right? And he said, is this a UFO conference? I said, yeah, it's a MUFON conference. He said to me, he didn't want to talk about at an event regarding aliens. Well, then that implies these are not alien. If you don't want to talk at a UFO conference and you don't want to talk about aliens, then that implies it's not aliens, and this is our technology. See, I would get these guys. I would corner these guys.
Then you should be.
Well, I wish I would. That's what I told my congressman. I need to interview these guys because they are full of crap, right? So then the guy heading up the AARO, November 23, a year ago, finishes up. He resigns at the end of the year, or he's done. He steps down. His statement is UFOs are real, but there are no aliens. So there you go.
Okay.
I've just proven to you this is an alien. This is our technology. And that's why I wrote that book, They Are Us. And I put a twist to it that I added in time travel. That some of this stuff is us coming back. A lot of it was our technology from Project Paperclip, but the Germans got a UFO in 1936 in a UFO crash in the Black Forest in Freiburg, Germany. That's a fact. And that may have been the only crash that ever occurred. And they didn't know what the heck they were going to do with it. There weren't even doors on it or windows, but they were working on stuff. So we got all that information and whatever technology they had. And in Project Paperclip in 1945, Roswell was our craft that crashed. It was a test of the German.
So you truly believe that it was our...
Absolutely. Look at all the crashes. They travel 500 billion miles, and every year or so there's a UFO crashing. Look at them all. Roswell. You had I can't even name them all. I got in my book. There's like 36 crashes. You fly here and you crash. I don't think so.
Yeah, because if you're so highly intelligent, why would you crash?
You got this craft and you're crashing all the time. I mean, look at the number of crashes that we had in the 40s and 50s, all of them. It can't be. They're not going to be out there crashing. It's us testing it and crashing is what it was.
But why are they hiding it then?
Because it's about military technology. Whoever controls the UFO is the most powerful. I don't care how many nuclear weapons you have. You control a UFO that can move at almost the speed of thought. You're the superpower. And I put in my book, Apophis 2029, that the Iranians back-engineered that crash in 1976. That's why I said when Elizondo said is our neighbors, it's not monsters, it's our neighbors. Well, who do you mean, Iran? Did they back engineer it? Because I put that in my book. And I think they might have, because that one was said to have had some problems and went down near Tehran. So that's what I think. I got more stuff here, but that's good enough as far as that goes. I got a lot more information. But I really want to be able to interview these guys. And I think with what I just told you, I can put that together in an order that'll back them into the fact that this is not alien. Now, Elizondo brings it up, and he did say at the hearing that it's an EBE, and she goes, does that mean it's non-human? And he says, that's what I read. Well, where do you read that? In my book? I've read that stuff too over the years. So where's the proof? It's like, remember the Wendy's commercials? Where's the beef? Where's the proof? In 2018, before I ran for commissioner, I put a $30,000 reward out there for physical proof, DNA, blood, something to prove that aliens are real. I got nothing. And I actually published what they sent me. All these people emailed me, and I put it all together into like a 20-page thing, and it was so ridiculous. They sent me octopus and said, well, the octopus didn't originate here. The lobster, they're aliens. It was just stuff off the internet. But there is no proof. Show me the proof. Otherwise, you guys you're covering up our military's technology. And then think about this. If Iran had a UFO, what would that do? How do we go up? We go into Israel now. Trump comes in. Okay, Iran, we're going to brick the camel. That's a saying you can look up. It has a meaning, right? We're going to brick the camel now. And we show up with 4 aircraft carriers, and they pull out 6 UFOs that are darting around at 1,600 miles, at 5,000 miles an hour. You can't hit them. You can't do anything. Pow, 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 pow. Sink every one of our ships. What are we going to do next? What are we going to do? Launch missiles, boom, they shoot them all out of the sky. What are we going to do? Iran, and that's in that book I wrote, Apophis 2029.
Oh, I mean, that was a part of Paperclip, wasn't it? Is that you need to gather the best and the brightest for that. There you go.
Little alien.
Well, why don't you, for someone who's not educated with the historical, Paperclip, could you tell them what that is real quick?
Well, what happened was when we were closing in on Hitler in Berlin, the Russians coming down from the north, we're coming in from the west. There was a race to get there and get all the information. But one of the things that happened was Kamler, who was in charge of a lot of these programs. He was in charge of the concentration camps, the gassing people, everything. He loaded up a junket that they had, which was like a 747 with a lot of their stuff, and he flew it to the United States in exchange for immunity. And Kamler been walking around probably Manhattan for 40 years after World War II, and nobody even knew who he was. He was mentioned one time at Nuremberg. One time. That was it. This is a guy that there should have been warrants out to get this guy. So he gave us a whole bunch of stuff. But the Russians got there. They grabbed the number one scientist from Germany. We got Werner von Braun and 50 others, but they got the guy that was in charge. That's why Sputnik got out there. They got out into space before we did, but then he died, and then the Russians didn't have a bench. But we got all those guys. But we got tons of information on what they were working on. They were working on rockets, V2, V6 rockets. They were working on anti-gravity with the red mercury, the Bell. There were so many things, but it was, I'm telling you, if the war didn't end when it did, I think in 6 months, Germany would have won. They would have won if they had 6 months more.
I believe you there, John. That's exactly right. It's a country and a little guy that decided to take on the world, and history wipes over the fact that actually they came pretty close to doing it.
Yeah.
Braun, you're right. He was the best and brightest, but actually, NASA, their first director was a guy from there.
That's a lot.
And
all of NASA, you tell people this, NASA was founded with German scientists. That was NASA.
Yes, it was.
They were the rocket program. People don't know that. They were the rocket program. They were the space program. It was these German scientists who 1 minute, they're building gas machines to kill Jews. Next minute, they flip their hat around. The U.S. citizens, they got houses and they got salaries, and they're Americans now.
Yeah,
they're
exactly what happened.
So you had the missile program, you had the rocket launches, you had people gearing up for outer space, but you also had Strughold, who was the father of space medicine. So how to make people be okay up in space. Yeah. You had that part of it too. You had both. Our whole boost to get to the moon and to get into space for the Cold War was aided by all of those people.
Yeah. There was.
And you know what? Something else that nobody talks about is, you had Joseph Mengele doing those experiments on people, right? Yeah. You also had Unit 731, where Japan was experimenting on Chinese. I think it was in Mongolia. I'm not 100% sure, but they were doing just as bad stuff. And what did we do? We did the same thing. We gave the black soldiers syphilis just to see, how long can you last? The Tuskegee, I think it was the Tuskegee Airmen. I don't know if that was, I'm correct about that. We experimented with LSD and MK Ultra. That stuff. So we did that.
Yeah, we did do that.
And
so
that's
an
extension of the Germans and the Japanese.
Do you think the German technology influenced all the UFO sightings and the technology rumors we still hear about? Do you think they have a lot to do with that?
Well, I don't know what they're doing now, but I think that the bulk of what we saw, in the 40s and 50s and 60s was definitely ours. I meant to put my dog out. He gets so jealous. He wants to jump up and get in the screen because he hears you talking to me.
Yeah.
But, I think that was ours, and I put that in. And I have something here, which it's in my book, and I want to give you a real quickie on some. I had a lunch with a girl in Scottsdale. This is the reason I wrote the book, They Are Us. I had those ideas about Germany and all of that, but this woman, I ran into her, albino woman.
Yeah, wait, John, before you start, but I'm going to question you on that. If you don't believe that the UFOs are alien, like biological entities, but you believe this woman that you're going to talk about, I'm a little confused.
Well, let me clarify that. What I'm going to say is that there was one UFO crash in Germany. Maybe there was two somewhere else. I don't know. According to her, there's one. And there could have been a couple other, but there haven't been 36 in 25 years. I can tell you that much. But one of the things she told me, and she gave me a manual, which is what I based the book.
Manual, huh?
Yeah, and she said which ones came from our Space Force, and then she got into this time travel, right? And physics and I don't go along. But James Krug, if you know him, Krug with MUFON, he wrote a chapter for the book on time travel. But she said from the Space Force, which was formed in 1947, Trump did not form it. These are the ones that came from us testing. Was Roswell was ours. The 1952 UFOs over D.C. was ours. Well, Maury Island was ours also a week before Roswell. The Men in Black was definitely ours. Let's see, it was 1980 Rendlesham Forest was ours, 82 Hudson Valley was ours, 97 Phoenix Lights was ours, right? She said then, and I don't know if you can believe this about time travel. She said, which ones would, some were us coming back because we wanted to change things, right? So she said the Battle of LA in 1942, that was ours. They placed that Abydos plaque in Egypt that shows submarines and helicopters. We placed that there, you know, and because we're trying to, you know, trick people. Let's see. The rock carvings, cave paintings that look like aliens and UFOs were planted. They went back and planted that. They helped Oppenheimer. That's us from the future that did that. We're planting the ancient alien theory stuff that, you know, Giorgio and them talk about, because we want you to not believe in God. We want you to believe in evolution, not creation, and aliens, you know, are our progenitors. Betty and Barty Hill, that was us that came back. Travis Walton encountered us from the future. The O'Hare Airport in 06 was ours. And that ML Malaysia Flight 370 was abducted, and that was by us. So it was a strange conversation I had with this woman. We sat and talked, and, you know, then I wrote a book out of it. It's a novel. I filled in blanks, you know, as to stuff she said and what it kind of, you know, appeared to be, which I understand this field is pretty prevalent. You know, you think you read these books by people on Betty Andresian and all these others, and then you read years later that those authors, you know, they were told 500 words of information, and they made, you know, 5 novels of 500,000 words out of it, because they filled it all in. So I did the same thing, but the basis of it is that, and it's really interesting. But here's the thing, though. I mean, I've encountered 5 albinos or partial albinos in my whole life. One at church here at Our Lady of Grace, a kid, probably about 12. At the 2011 MUFON conference, my conference in Philly, there was a vendor there, a guy. He had albino characteristics. He wasn't full albino, but he said, I'm a hybrid. He was convinced of it. Connie Willis from Coast to Coast. She
Probably was.
My friend. We were talking to him. She goes, yeah, he's my friend. She told me his name. He believes he's a hybrid. He says he's a hybrid. You know, I should have got a blood sample. I should have pricked him with something and got a blood sample from him. You know, oops, put it on my ring and shake his hand. Gotcha. You know, so those two, right? But then I encountered an albino looking. She was partial albino, I would say, in 1999 at the first UFO conference I went to. I joined MUFON in 98. In 99, I went to their conference in Northern Virginia, in D.C. And, you know, I'm at the event. I'm really enjoying it. And I turn and I notice this blonde woman, pretty attractive, coming in, and she sits down. And so I said, you know, I'm single. I said, we broke for lunch. I'm going to talk to her. You know, I got behind her on the buffet line. And I said, hey, can I sit with you? I'm here by myself. She goes, yeah. So we talked a little bit, and nothing strange came out of that. In my mind, there was at the time, you know, I thought it was kind of funny. I was saying, well, who would come to a UFO conference? Well, hybrids would, right? She's a hybrid, right? They would, right?
They would.
So, and nothing came of that. And it's like a paragraph in my book, The Ufologist. You know, I don't say a lot about her other than I met her. But the problem is I got home from the conference. It ended 4th of July. It was over, you know, morning of 4th of July is when we checked out. I didn't stay for the fireworks. I went home. But I get home and I have 4 nights of out-of-body experiences.
Oh, wow.
Lucid dreams with these, like I would say, hybrid kids in it. Mm-hmm. There was an absolute presence in my room. I was waking up like every hour. I was waking up swinging my fist. I hit the bedpost. I almost broke my wrist. I probably broke that hammock bone, you know, got fragments in there. there was something in my house. And I said to myself, why does this happen after going to a UFO conference? I was a Comic-Con, HorrorCon fan. I went to Chiller Theater in New York and New Jersey. Nothing ever happened. I watched The Exorcist. Nothing ever happened. But I go to UFO conference and I got all this type of activity. So I documented that in my book, The Ufologist. But then I go, I'm on the board of MUFON. So I go to Roswell in 2013. I said, well, I might as well go to Roswell, right? See what it's all about. I heard they had a really nice library, which they do. They have every book ever published on UFOs there. It's amazing, huge library. The exhibit needed updating. It was really old. They had newspaper articles and stuff taped or pinned to boards. Come on, get some professional graphic artists, make some posters up. You could do a lot better job than that. But I saw this albino girl there at the museum. I didn't say anything to her. So there's a Chinese restaurant just down the street. So I'm eating dinner that night. The following morning, I was going to Santa Fe. She comes walking in, sits down at my table. She goes, I know who you are. You're with MUFON. I saw you on the TV, on the Discovery Channel. I want to talk to you. And I said, okay, good. I'm here by myself. Let's talk. Again, like a 2-hour conversation. But she was all into the ancient alien stuff. So, and she was pretty much, let's see, that's 2013. Yeah. So Ancient Aliens is out in Georgia. She could have been the writer for Prometheus and Ancient Aliens, and write all those scripts. She knew everything about it, was telling me all this stuff. And I was disagreeing with some stuff. And because I believe in creation, I don't believe in evolution. But I hit on something with her about, malevolent interdimensional entities, demons. I call them that because when you say demon, people say it's religion. They don't want to hear about it. So malevolent interdimensional entities. And she was already very pale as an albino. She got paler, it's like, and she says, well, we have that in common with you. Okay.
Oh.
And she said she was a hybrid, right? So now the other two did not say, the other two women. I didn't get to the third one yet, right? She said she was a hybrid and she wants to tell me the truth, right? So when I brought that up, because, I had a lot of paranormal stuff happened in 99, going to that conference and stuff. She goes, we have that. We're afraid of them. We fear them just like you. And she even said, we have that in common with humans. It was a really interesting conversation. And I wrote that book, An Alternative History of Mankind. And the cover is, I like The Thinker. I have The Thinker right here. It's an ape holding a human skull. It's right on my desk over here. So this one I found online. It's an alien sitting holding the human skull. It's such a cool picture. I found the guy and I emailed him and I asked him, can I use it as the cover of my book, The Alternative History of Mankind? It's perfect, He goes, yeah, you can use it. He gave me permission. And I said, well, if you want to come to our conferences here, I'll comp you. He goes, I'm in Brazil. I said, well, I'll still comp you. But it was cool. So I used that for the cover. So I wrote this book, An Alternative History, and based on what she said. And again, I filled some blanks in, but it was just weird, interesting conversation. So then last year, it's 10 years later, it's 2023. Roswell was 2013. I'm at the UFO exhibit in Scottsdale. Okay. And this was almost a carbon copy of Roswell. I see an albino girl there, right? I didn't say a word to her. I'm behind this guy and his son, looking at the exhibits. He keeps trying to look at me. He says, you look familiar. I said, well, I was in Hangar 1 on History Channel. I was in all 20 episodes. He goes, that's where you are. I knew that you look familiar. And so I do all of that. Matter of fact, I was just there last month as a speaker in Scottsdale. They have a speaker circuit. And when I flew in on vacation, I went and I spoke to a group of about 30 people, sold 25 of my books. It was actually pretty cool. But again, so I leave. Next day, I go up to Cave Creek. And it's kind of a cool area with a lot of Indian stores, that type of stuff, right? So I go to this restaurant. I'm trying to think of the name of it now. And I sit down in the booth, and it's almost like Roswell. This girl comes in, she sits down, she hands me, slides over this manual and says, I don't want this. You take it. And we talked, and she said, this is a government manual from the Navy about time travel, and that most of what people have seen is our technology. The Pentagon, the government's behind all of this. It's them developing it, which is things I believed all along anyhow. Or let's say I didn't believe that when I was started with MUFON. I believed in the extraterrestrial hypothesis 100%, but I kind of developed that type of thinking along the way. And, and it was funny how we're sitting in the booth, and she got up, she pushed my glass of water over, it poured onto my seat. So it's like, if I'm going to get out of the booth now, I have to slide across the water. Mm-hmm. And she walked out real quick, out the front door. It's kind of like a gravel lot and stuff. And by the time I could, throw my napkins on and get out, I never saw her. I don't know where she went. Maybe I was too slow. I didn't see a car leave or anything. So, I took the manual and I developed that book, They Are Us, from what she said about time travel. And she made an interesting comment with time travel, because I asked Eric von Daniken this, and I asked her also. In 2012, I did the first Ancient Alien Conference in Minnesota. Rita Louise and I were the only two that weren't in Ancient Aliens that were there on the panel and speakers at the event. I was actually speaking about the Mayan calendar back then. It was 2012. It's like the summer of 2012. And I'd written my first 2 books on the Mayan calendar. Hold on a second. So I asked Van Daniken, I said to him, we had a thing where he was the only one up there and everybody was asking questions. History Channel was there filming the whole thing, right, for the show. So I asked him, Eric, where does Jesus fit into your ancient? And I didn't even get to finish. He pounds the table. Boom! Jesus was just a man. He was not the Son of God. He was a prophet. I mean, he was loud, and like the whole place, like 450 people. It was a big conference. Everybody went silent. History Channel said, let's take a break. We came back. We came back like 15 minutes later. Van Daniken went up on the podium on stage, and he goes, look, he says, I was a good altar boy as a kid. I'm not trying to start a new religion. Let me tell you something. That is exactly what he and Giorgio have done and we're trying to do, is this ancient alien stuff that we were not created by God, or that we were upgraded at some point. Or, it falls more in the evolutionary stuff, that we were some sort of hominids and the aliens upgraded us, that type of stuff. And it's real, to me, it's very blasphemous, So when I brought that up with the girl also in Scottsdale last year, because I bring that up a lot now at conferences, because I want to hear what people think. And unfortunately, I find the UFO crowd is not very religious, or they would never.
No, they're not. Well, that's not true all the time. Well, there's some.
The bulk, they're lapsed Christians, or they never were. They didn't know. They don't know anything about religion, so they follow, this ancient alien. They want the aliens to be their God, pretty much, because they don't understand the Christian God. So I asked her, where does religion fit into what you're telling me about going back in time? I said, technically, God controls time travel, right? Because he allows angels and demons to come through a time and space, so he's controlling it. So how do you get permission to do it yourself, through physics and, and that type of thing? And she says, well, the government found out a couple of things. They could not go back to Jesus. They could not go back prior, let's say, to that time period. They were able to go back prior, but to go back and see Jesus, they couldn't. they'd set it, go back, and it would bounce to a different time. You set it for 29 AD. You're at 100 AD. You want to go back to Moses, and you go back 100 years further. That type. She says they could not access religious moments in time. That's interesting. That's very
It's very, very interesting. And Rita Louise, I'm glad you mentioned her. She's another one of our friends on the program. Jenny, we had her back in about May, I think, May or June on here. We were interviewing her. Another one with a fascinating stories and things like that. So with the book, John, and everything that we've been talking about, if you had to put a guess up of, what we're trying to interact with, is it trying to save our own, destruction in the future?
With everything that happened to me, especially in 2014, between seasons 1 and 2 of Hangar 1, something showed up in the house. Like I knew something was in the house in 1999 when I went to my first UFO conference. But in between the 2 seasons, season 1 ended. I'm so happy to see myself on TV. It was pretty cool, doing the show. I mean, it's really cool.
I can imagine. Yeah, absolutely.
People call me and says, John, you're on television right now.
Still cool.
Yeah. So I just lost my train of thought of what I was going to say about it.
What are we, if you had to guess, what are we trying to save? Yeah.
I've taken a very religious look to a lot of this. And I wrote a book, The String Theory of the Unexplained, where I took about a dozen famous UFO abduction cases, analyzed them. I spent a lot of time looking at the demonic and exorcism to understand what was in my house, because to me it was very malevolent. And my kids' encounters in the house, they didn't grow up with me from the point I got divorced in Jersey, but anytime they came here, pretty much they had an encounter. Okay. And my daughter would say, it's so malevolent. It's so dark upstairs in your house. That's heavy. The atmosphere. She was attacked by shadow people. The thing pressed right into her body. She encountered something in the basement. She said that it was totally malevolent. I had to get out of the basement, like the thing that was in my bedroom, So I took this religious view, and I looked at, like I said, a lot of abductions, and I'm reading their stories, Carla Turner, Betty Andresian, a few others. And I said, well, you're describing doors banging, shutters banging, claw marks, the sound of nails across the tile floor, toys turning on and off. And I said, these are markers of demonic infestation. It has nothing to do with aliens. And I think a lot of these people, they were either into the UFO field and wanted it to be UFO, or they didn't want to say it was demonic, because then it implies you did something wrong. Why did the demon show up? And in my case, I think it's a generational sin, with my father. That's a whole nother story, but it may not be. I don't really know. So I take that kind of religious view, and I see, I watched the hearings yesterday, and the one guy saying how he wishes NASA would get more out there speaking at conferences and press conferences and stuff like that, and talking about what they know, what they suspect. I can see today that if we have a 300-foot UFO, that, they're slowly breaking us in, there's going to be that contact moment, like Jodie Foster,
desensitize us, I guess, maybe
a signal, something, and then boom, there it is over Pittsburgh. It's a 300-foot UFO. You can't deny it. Every news station's published, showing it. What do they want? But it's a false flag. That's why I called my book The Time Travel.
Could be.
Also, they're going to tell us something. And I'm so glad Trump won, because this whole progressive, Kamala, Biden, Obama thing, it's progressive. It's the new world order. It's demonic. It is. When you go into it, it's a demonic Marxist way of thinking. Soros, to me, he's the Antichrist 2.0. You know, he's the baby Antichrist. That man is so evil.
His son is too.
And his son's worse, from what I hear. He's so, so we have a battle, but
Well, you know, John, when you were talking about how you had that demonic experience, Tucker Carlson had one too, and he believes it's demons. These alien beings are probably demonic. And he had that encounter in his bedroom.
Yeah, he was laying in his bed. He said that they got like 5 dogs and they sleep on the bed. I think that's so gross. I've dated women. She wants to have the dogs get in bed with her. I said, no, I don't do that. I don't need
my dog sleeps with me.
I don't need ticks or fleas. Dogs stay on the floor. They don't get in bed with me.
They don't go. He doesn't go in my bed, but he has his own blankie on top. So
you don't think bugs crawl off the blanket into you?
No, he doesn't. She doesn't have bugs.
It's your ears.
I groom her all the time. No,
I let my dog out all the time, and I'm pulling ticks off of him. I took.
Oh, well, because you leave your dog out all day. My dog's a hen dog. He only goes to potty outside and comes back in.
Well, yeah, he does stay out for hours. It's getting
Ava doesn't. She comes right in.
Tucker said he's laying in bed on his side, and he's got 5 dogs in bed. And he said he had a demonic encounter. It scratched him. He said it was absolutely a demonic encounter. And, just like the UFO thing where people were afraid to say they're into UFOs, more needs to come out that this could be a demonic infestation of no fault of your own, let's say. They pick out good people. They already got the bad people, so they're picking out the good people to try to turn them, that type of thing. And I'll give you another example. I was, when I was with UPS, I ran public affairs, and Congressman Tim Murphy was my contact, right? So I'm at I don't know, it was a fundraiser or a meeting that he was doing. So, it's like he goes over, I'm talking to these people at a table. He comes over and he goes, oh, this is John Ventre. He believes in aliens, because I was on TV at the time. I remember this woman sitting there going, that's ridiculous. And he had a good laugh over it, But Guy Reschenthaler, who took Tim's place, when he was getting signatures 6 months ago, I go to Sharky's, right? I walk in, there's Guy. There's 200 people there eating signatures. He yells out, everyone, this is John Ventre. He investigates UFOs. He's so cool. He knows stuff about this. Like saying, oh my God, and Kim Ward was there and others, but it was different. He wasn't making fun of me because I'm telling you, Guy Reschenthaler is all into this thing,
Wow.
So interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
So, I totally buy into manipulating public opinion. I totally buy into manipulating public perception.
Yeah.
So you think, and this theory has been floated around a lot. You think, let's let this alien thing dangle out there so people can believe it, so they don't have to look at what the real thing is. Do you believe these craft are from our government, a shadow government, or private contractors?
I think there's a couple of people in the Pentagon who know the full story, and it's our government. Okay. But even when you listen to that thing yesterday, he said, Elizondo, I think, said that they give the information or the technology to private companies. And he mentioned Lockheed Martin. Remember the congresswoman questioned him about Lockheed, and maybe there was also Raytheon and others, and years ago it was Bell and Howell. But the reason they do that is you can't file a FOIA and get anything from a private company.
That's right. That's exactly
proprietary.
Right. Yes.
So that's why they do that. But yeah, I think that the government knows about it, and there's a group that know, and they're going to be there through the next 5-10 presidencies. And, just look at Trump. They didn't brief him on the Space Force for the first 2 years. And I think it was the end of 18, or maybe it was 19, that they told him about it. And right away, he announced the Space Force, the 6th branch of the government, and I'm taking credit for it. Because that's his ego, that's exactly what he did. But that's proof that they don't tell the presidents right away, and they certainly don't tell him everything. And I don't think he knows the extent of what we have. I really don't.
I completely agree with that part, Jenny. You've heard me on this show. I think you're the same way, that the president, he might know the least of anybody, because why tell them.
Yeah. Seems like there's only a few people in the government that knows about anything. But I think Congress should know about everything, and we should be informed of what they have.
Well, you think about, you always heard about, they bought a toilet seat and it was like $6,000 and,
Oh yeah,
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they're skimming all that money to go pay for these programs. There was that guy, what was his name? He was through like 6 presidencies. He was always there. And he made a comment years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And he said that I can't account for almost $1 trillion that went to the Pentagon, and over the years he says, I don't know where it is. Rumsfeld.
Did you see that one post on X about how they want to use up all the money and give it to Ukraine? Did you see that post?
No, I'm not on. I think I belong to X. I don't know. I think I do, but I'm never on X. So they want to use what money and give it to
Ukraine? I'll tell you in a second.
Biden is trying to fund everything for Ukraine before Trump gets in.
Yeah, they want to give everything to whatever we have left. Give it to Ukraine before Trump gets in office.
Yeah, and he wants to do something where Trump can't pull it back. He's trying to fix it so Trump can't end the war. That type of thing. And it's so dishonest, Ukraine, I hate to see all these people getting killed. And the same thing that Trump says, but Ukraine is no more important to us than Haiti is.
Yeah, he said Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed to Ukraine between now and January 20th when Trump takes office. That's what they
so as soon as he takes office, he pulls all our advisors, everything out of Ukraine. So, so what are you going to do? Okay.
But he's going to use all the remaining money left that we taxpayers gave to Ukraine.
It's a shame. Why not give it to Israel? But then.
Because because they know Trump's not going to give them any more money.
No, I think all those wars are coming to an end. I think Iran. You're going to probably, before Trump even takes office, there's going to be a ceasefire there. Although Israel doesn't want to. That's the problem. I think they want to put an end to it now because they know Trump's coming, but Israel just wants to. They want to make it so they can never be attacked again. And the whole thing with Ukraine, I'm a Knights Templar, right? Yeah. So I'm on there in Europe. I'm on their podcast, and they said today over 1 million Ukrainians are dead or missing. Over 300,000 Russian soldiers. Then we talk about Gaza, 40,000 people have been killed, let's say, and that might even be on the high side. It might only be 20,000. You're talking about 1.3 million people, maybe 1.5 million people between Russia and Ukraine. That's horrendous, and it really needs to come to an end. And it's all because Putin asked Biden, when Biden got in, he said, I want to guarantee that Ukraine will not join NATO. They'll be neutral, kind of like Switzerland, and you will not put, NATO troops, missiles in Ukraine. Biden told Putin, go pound salt. You don't tell me what to do, right? But yet, when it came to Russia putting missiles in Cuba, we're ready to go to World War III, right? But yet we think it's okay for us to put missiles at their doorstep in Ukraine. So, Putin said, okay. A couple of months later, he invaded. That whole thing was on Biden. That was his fault for being a moron, And at least Trump knows to talk to, China, North Korea, Russia, and he's going to settle it. And it's going to be that whatever they took, they're going to hold on to 80% of it. They'll give something back and there'll be peace there. And maybe the Ukrainians will be allowed to leave those cities because they become Russian territory, but the number of people killed there is a shame. And to continue that, think about this. This is one of the things the Templars say all the time. Europe has never been able to repopulate after World War I, the Spanish flu, the immigrants that went to America, and World War II. I mean, you lost a third of your continent's population between those 4 things. And he says, Ukraine lost 1 million young men. How would it? Where is this next? A whole generation has been taken out pretty much. How do they repopulate? The women are still there, or they left. A lot of them just moved into other parts of Europe.
Yeah.
Ukraine is screwed. They're really screwed.
I don't know. Well, this goes another Chasing Prophecy week.
Yeah. But I can't. I love all the stuff Trump's doing. He's putting people in place, and the people are so afraid of him that they're all signing.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Women shaving their heads, divorcing their husbands, not having sex until next 4 years, whatever.
Did you see that one woman? These two lesbians, they're married, and the one lesbian is a trans writer. She writes, and she wrote something for like a Netflix show about red states and gays in red states. I remember seeing it advertised for Netflix, whatever. After Trump won, I guess her father was a Republican, pro-Trump. She stabbed him to death. I saw it in the news today. Because Trump won, she stabbed him to death. The police showed up, and she was so happy, saying, "I'm emancipated now. I killed my father, who was a Republican and a Trump supporter." These people are mentally ill. They really are.
They're brainwashed.
They are. And there's studies have come out that white liberals have the highest degree of mental illness. You can look it up. That has come out a number of times.
It's crazy. And I really don't understand why the gay population is so tight. I mean, Trump has done everything he can for the LGBTQ, whatever you call it. People, after the election, so many of them went to doctors to get drugs and had therapy appointments. I don't understand. What do they think is going to happen? Seriously.
Well, I went to a church group last Thursday at Our Lady of Grace, and the one woman there, she goes, I'm LGBTQ RST, and she goes, my nephew is so afraid right now as to what's going to happen. And I said to her, what you need to do is stop watching CNN and MSNBC, because I'm as far right as you can get. I'm pro-Trump. I'm Trump 2.0. I don't ever think about LGBTQ, right? I said, we don't think about you. We don't care about you. We're not coming for you. Just leave our kids alone. You got nothing to worry about. And she took like a step back because she thought she was going to get sympathy for everybody. And I didn't give her any sympathy.
Oh, well, John, it was great having you tonight. Come back anytime. We'd love to have you.
The truth is out there, but it's not coming from the government.
Oh, that's true.
The truth is out there. Yeah. So where can everybody get your books?
Just look up my name on Amazon. I've written 11 books, but I took 2 down because they had to do with the Mayan calendar. So nobody's buying 2012. Nobody's buying 2012 stuff. So there should be 9 books out there. So just look up John Ventre, and you'll see a whole bunch of books come up. But the 3 that I'm going to be pushing, there's really 4 books. I think when I sell out on my books, I'm going to be pushing the 3 I talked to you about: the ufologist, the alternative history of mankind, and They Are Us, because this is albino hybrid connection there, and then the other book, which is going to start to get more popular, is the Apophis 2029, because, we're only 5 years, away from that event, less than 5 years, with the asteroid. And people are actually aware of that. When I sell my books, they said, "Oh, I heard of that asteroid." So I want to try to put it down to, I think, just 4 books that I'm selling out of the 9 that I have.
Cool. Okay, well, it was great having you. Have a great night.
All right, thanks. Bye.
See you, John.
So I have a question for you before we head on out.
Sure.
The Immaculate
Constellation.
What the heck is that?
So I will be going into more depth about that tomorrow on Beyond the Radar at 9:00. But what that is hundreds, probably thousands of not this buzzy, fuzzy, pixelated pictures and videos that we see all the time put out on news and things like that. Like the naval videos, the TikTok or Tic-Tac and Go Fast and all that kind of stuff. They have hundreds or thousands of high-res 4K, HD video
of these
Why
can't we see them?
And that's why, because we only see the most degraded version of it. We see, like, if I were to take a video of this video, like with my phone here, You know what I mean? That's what we're seeing. And so they want disclosure to this. That was the report that was turned
Yeah,
in
but I think we
yesterday.
should have disclosure. I would like to see these pictures. They're probably something like that one show that you told me to watch about the show. I can't remember the name, where the 6 girls were they went into the
Yes.
lake. Those were
Yes.
amazing
Those
photos.
were amazing photos. Those were from actual human beings, and it did not go out to where it was supposed to go, because you would not have seen that. Speaking of that, shout out to Dave Emmons in Strange Reality, our newest show, 9 o'clock Eastern on
That was
Wednesdays.
incredible.
He's a
That
very
show.
good host and a very smart man. He has a lot of connections, and he, I believe, a former journalist, and you won't get any of his sources from him, but they are vetted and they are reliable. So keep tuning into him. But the one of the big things that came out yesterday about this immaculate constellation, I'm trying so hard not to say conception, by the way, but the immaculate
said that.
constellation is the government has its own internet, and that was wild to me. They have their own secure network where they can trade all of their photos, videos, and things like that to each other. It's something that I had hypothesized for years, that there is some other internet out there that can suck these type of TikToks, Miami aliens, Miami's off of the internet.
What do you mean? Is some kind of government thing that they suck?
It's proven they have their own secure network. They have their own.
Well, is that like the dark net or no?
No. The dark net is completely different.
Did you ever go on the dark net?
No, I haven't. Believe it or not, I have not opened. I have not opened any of that. Yeah, DARPA. Yeah, DARPA is another shadow funded thing. I sent Jenny a video actually of a DARPA made AI tank that can go 30 miles without fuel. I think I sent you that video of it, Jenny, and it was nuts. And the tank was only like 6 feet by 8 feet. It wasn't like this huge ass thing that usually you see. But they have this internet where, Jenny, say you and I are military people out in the field. I can send you all I want till the cows come home, video, pictures, stuff on this internet that will never be seen by anybody on the other internet. They created their own.
So creepy.
It is creepy.
That is so creepy. When I watched the congressional hearing, they were talking about, like, when they say that if it's non-human, it could be like drones, and you said it's a highly intelligent. So I'm guessing that who is running these? They said it wasn't. They said it couldn't be like China or anything like that. Do you think it's our own government that has these AI? You know, like Elon Musk has those robots that he has.
So this is what I wanted to mention with that, and I didn't get a chance to with John, is the congressional hearings talked about non-human biologics, not intelligences. So things of non-human origin controlling these. That is something that is indisputable if you believe David Grush and the whistleblower testimony. Mm-hmm. Now, the non-human intelligence is, they don't have to be a living, breathing, because we have non-human intelligence here. You have it on your phone. I have it on my phone.
That's what I mean. That kind of intelligence. Do you think that's really what they're talking about? I mean,
yes, that could be what they're talking about. When he was mentioning about how they could be our neighbors and not monsters, one of the biggest things on there was the underwater UFO.
Yeah. So what do you think is that? I mean, I have a few of the video. If you want, I have a couple. I found the video, some short videos. I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, by all means, we totally can. But the USOs, for everybody who might be new or haven't heard about that, is a unidentified submersive object, and a UFO obviously is a unidentified flying object, or UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. So a USO is the bigger word to come out of. Let's start 15 months ago with David Grush and everything. David Grush and his testimony with David Fravor, and I apologize, I can't think of the third gentleman's name, but what they had was, you don't have it?
Go ahead. No, I
Okay.
mean I'm looking at their names.
Okay. So what they had was these naval videos. Obviously, if you know Navy, they're on the water a lot. And a
Yeah.
lot of these things center around the Georgia, Florida coast side, right out on the Atlantic, the San Diego directly west out into the Pacific, and then also Mexico, in the Caribbean. Those are the biggest hotspots. There is rumblings of a hotspot in outside of Washington State, Washington, Alaska, in that water area there. I haven't heard that much about that one, but when you talk about the other areas, you get hotspots of the gimbal, the go fast, and the tic tac. So what you have with those are objects coming out of the water and moving through different material. Water is a liquid, we all know that. Air,
Yeah.
it's moving the same way through both. Like if you think about it, if it comes up and comes down, comes up and comes down, it's moving up and out of the water at the same rate it's moving in the water, which is physically impossible because water is denser than air.
Okay. But what
That's the
about
biggest thing.
when they said that the Navy people said that they were provoking, they were letting us know that they were there for a reason. Okay, now to me that doesn't sound like it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it's a machine. It seems like it's something with a highly intelligent that was able to,
Yeah.
provoke, get a reaction,
So
let
there's
us
one
know that they're
theory.
there.
There's one theory where it could be that I don't believe, but I'd be not doing my job if I didn't say it. The one theory out there is almost shadow tests. It's tests that it is controlled by AI. There's an AI intelligence, but we man it, but we don't tell them. So we want to see how they react to this
So
stimulus.
you're thinking there's a human being behind that.
No, I'm not. I don't believe that. But I'm saying that is one theory out there that some people might believe. The other is that it is interacting with us because we pose absolutely no threat to it, which in the congressional hearings, you've heard them say, there's nothing we can do about this. This is entering into our space, into our military space, and we have no control. We can't do anything about it. So
Because it's highly intelligent and it's
highly intelligent, but it's
it's
more
advanced
technologically
compared to
advanced.
us.
Exactly. It's much more technologically advanced. Where if you were, if you were walking around and there was, ants, we don't really think about it because we're more advanced than they are, and you could squash them at any point and you just live your life and forget about them. That's what this could be to them, where you've seen videos of them flying around nuclear sites. You've seen videos of them disarming missiles. You've seen, and not many people know this, but that jellyfish UAP, what you saw, those 19 seconds or so, it was actually close to 20 minutes of video, and
Well,
it
we
went
only got
in. Yeah, we only got the little bit, and
Is
it
that
went
because
in.
they sucked it out?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. That is exactly that was the example given that there's of the Immaculate Constellation. There's real life video. There's real life video of this thing going in and out of the water, going in and out of buildings, harassing the most private areas, knowing exactly where the private areas are, by the way. You know what I mean? Going in and out and then submerging itself back into the water as one whole piece. No splash, no nothing, just right in.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely nuts. And there is high res video. Another good show for anybody who wants to watch and learn more about it is Investigation Alien, that just dropped yesterday by George Knapp.
Is that the one on Netflix?
Yes, he's the one. He goes into and talks, and they do the best job they can. And I really like George Knapp because he really does care about his sources. And they gave him the full voice, you know what I mean? And it was only over the phone, and it was all great that way. But even he admitted on a separate source. So if you take the congressional hearings that they have this network, he even said about the Immaculate Constellation, I saw the real video. I leaked the real video because I have never seen anything like this. And this is a military man. This isn't some, civilian walking on. He's known, all that technology is known to everybody there. We're supposed to be the people that sign those agreements. He had no
Yeah,
idea what it was.
we should be able to see this, and I just hope that Donald Trump will, let us know what it is, what it is, and
I think he would, but I don't know if he'll get the chance. You know what I mean?
if they'll give it to him.
If they give him the chance, he would. I don't know if it will even get to that
Yeah,
step.
they'll give it to him. Yeah. Well, you can show those videos next week, or on your show, Beyond the Radar.
Oh, I don't have the videos. I was going to talk about basically what we were talking about now,
Oh,
what it means.
yeah. I was just gonna play what we. I mean, we don't
Yeah,
even
go ahead.
have to. I
If
don't
you
even
want to.
actually. I don't even know what. I mean, we can see what. We'll just. This one's only. This is too long, but we'll just play a little bit of it. But they're like 5 minutes, so I'll just give me a second. See, of course.
What? It's taking forever. But no, getting back to that, the congressional hearings, it was more that of what was unsaid than what was said in that. I got, what's it called? Whiplash hearing. I can only talk about that behind closed doors.
Yeah, I know.
Can't say that now. And I'm like, okay, but the stuff that they could say, and maybe John's right, because maybe politicians aren't the correct people to ask these questions. Maybe you need military people to
Yeah,
ask the questions.
maybe.
Maybe you need
Yeah,
scientists. Maybe politicians.
yeah.
Say what you want about them, but there's no possible way they can be an expert in that field. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
But
Just
talking
the one he
about
didn't like.
what?
He's talking about the long.
Oh,
See, why can't they discuss the non-human?
well, they said they
See,
could.
there we go again.
What?
So why are they even on?
Who?
So we're supposed to get the book or what?
What book?
Oh, he's talking about a book.
I didn't hear.
So they're
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear what book you were talking about.
um
All right.
there, his book.
Oh, yeah. His book dealt with the false flag theory that we're going to let people believe aliens
So
are
we're supposed
doing all
but
this
he
to.
put it in his book, but he won't talk about it on here.
Yeah, that's why I tried to get it out of him. I read the sample that he let out on uh, Amazon.
Okay, wait, he has people that got injured. There's people that got injured by this.
Yeah.
Why can't it's just so stupid because they don't let us know what it is. Okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up. I just wanted to show you a little bit of that.
Okay.
The thing is, I don't understand what this proved. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't.
It's not the end all be all, but it's important cog in the wheel. It's pushing it forward, and every step of the way, we need to keep it going. We just have to further it. That's its job, and in that respect, it did do that.
Okay, well, next week we have Scotchman coming on.
Love Squatch Man. Long time coming for him.
I'm excited about that. So, okay.
We'll share to his Squatch group and any other cryptid groups, and let's pick Squatch Man's brain about some of the stuff he's seen out in the field.
Yeah, and thank you for listening tonight. We appreciate it. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. And that's a wrap. Okie dokie pokey. We'll see you next week, guys.
See everybody.
Oh, you're not okay. You want me to
Okay.
hit it?